What's in my gear bag? The number one question that I typically receive from either new photographers or photographers looking to get into brand photography, which is what I specialize in. Gear is always asked. I am always intentional on my gear kit based on the scope of work. So I thought, since it's been a while, I haven't talked about really what's in my gear kit for a bit, I thought I would show you all the gear that I've been working with as a professional photographer. Now, I am a brand photographer working with makers, artists, creatives. So I'm working with typically local businesses who need content for their websites, for social media, and to support any future promotions. So I am addressing that on location. I'm executing on the vision at their space. So I'm not bringing clients into a studio space, I am going to them. All right, so let's jump into it. First, camera body. Now, I have always been a Canon user from the beginning, even the beginning of my professional photography career 15 years ago when I started, I had a Canon. So now I have the Canon R5C. And I also provide video support for my clients. So having the cinema, the video side of this camera has been great. Now, as you can see on the Canon R5C, there's this bump out in the back. The Canon R5s, when they first came out, had a lot of overheating issues. I believe that's been resolved, but this was the next iteration coming out, which was the R5C, and they added this ventilation or fan for that overheating issue, and I've never had an issue, so I've been very happy with the Canon R5C. As you can also notice that I always have a battery grip. One, it's just so much nicer on your hand when you're shooting vertically, and then you can bounce it to horizontally because you have the button here as well on the grip. And you can also put 2 batteries in. So honestly, if I'm shooting for a few hours, I never have issues with battery life. All right, so that's the camera body that I go to, the Canon R5C. All right, now let's jump into lenses. The 70-200 has been my workhorse lens since the beginning. Now, the Canon R5C is a mirrorless system. So this is the updated, the RF lens for the 70-200. I had the EF lens for so long, probably over a decade. You cannot beat the performance of this lens. So now I have the updated RF lens for the camera body. This is great for portraits. When I'm capturing portraits of clients, we have enough space in their area because you do need quite a distance for this type of lens. Also, if I'm doing any action type shots that I need, I do a lot of work with a local university, so this always comes in handy too. If I don't have enough room for that type of focal length, then I'll go to the 24-70. This is a great all-around lens. Again, this is the RF for the mirrorless system. And why I've opted now to update my lenses from EF to RF is you're getting all the beautiful technology that it was meant to do, all the output for the lens and the body. And I'll touch on the EF lenses in a second when I talk about my next lens. But the 24-70, this is my go-to for lifestyle images. If I need to do portraits, I can take portraits on this as well. And if I need to do like an overhead shot, I will use this lens. However, you may get some distortion and just adds more to post-production after. But I digress. This lens is amazing as well. And these are really my 2 workhorses in my gear kit. So 1 body, 2 lenses. Now, the lens I'm using for this video is my 35. And because it's an EF lens, I need to use an adapter, which looks like this, for my mirrorless camera. And my EF lens is my go-to for if it's low light, because it can go down to 1.4. And for those overhead shots that I love to capture, I just go up on my ladder, another piece of non-photography gear that I put into my kit. So that is the lens that I'm using on this camera right now. So that's my 35, another great lens for those detail shots too. The last lens is my 100 macro. Now again, EF, so I need to use that adapter, but based on the scope of work, depends on if this lens gets added. If I'm doing very detailed work, so I work with a calligrapher, we want really zoomed in shots, or a jewelry maker, or somewhere where we really need to get detailed macro shots, this is when I bring the 100. I am always intentional on my gear kit based on the scope of work. Typically, I might have this one camera body lens, the 7200, the 2470. That may be what I bring on most brand photo shoots, whether I'm going to work with someone on location at their studio, their workshop, their office space. If I wanted to add a third, I'd probably add my 35, which is on my camera right now. So the 100 really is for those specific types of jobs. So now let's jump into lighting. I have two methods to my lighting. My run and gun, we are going to different locations within a building, let's say. When I work at the university, a local university, and capturing campus lifestyle, and we're going from classroom to classroom, and I need light, I always bring this speed light with me. Now, for the first 10 years, I had a Canon speed light. I wanted to update, and since I use the flashpoint system, which I'll show you next, for my portrait lighting, Flashpoint has a speed light, and now they can work together if I needed a secondary light. Just gonna move this over here. All right, the Flashpoint system, I've been loving this wireless system, one. So I can be outside, I can be indoors, it doesn't matter, I'm not limited. This has enough power to make gorgeous portraits wherever I need to. I typically use a 38-inch modifier by Glow, and I can control the power and the output with this transmitter that sits on top of your camera. And when you're starting out, you're always trying to build a rapport with your clients. And if you have to fix a light, move something, change the power, not sure, you're breaking that momentum and that connection. So when I can just control the light here, I can still have a conversation with my client. That's been an amazing part of having this whole light system. I've had it for years. Actually have two of these lights now. So that's been my go-to for lighting. Okay, couple other things. When I was talking about the speed light, I always have a diffuser on top. This just spreads the light so nicely. It's not sharp or harsh. I've had this since the beginning of my career, 15 years. This is a Gary Fong, but I'm sure they've changed things up a little bit now. But honestly, you can see this kind of product out there. So I always it just sits on the top. Looks kind of silly, but the results are amazing. So those always go hand in hand. If I have the speed light, then I'll be bringing this dome. Okay. If I always have a miscellaneous bag. This will hold extra batteries, extra cards. This is by Peak Design. Again, nothing is, I purchased everything here. Nothing is sponsored here, but it's a great clamshell, holds a lot of stuff, cleaning materials if I need to clean a lens. I have different gaffer's tape, that's always handy. So you'll see this always comes with me because just in case I need something. Another key element to my branding kit is my iPad, because I want my clients to see in real time their images in a large format. So the iPad will wirelessly work with the Canon R5C. I use the Canon Connect app. I'll link a video here on how to do that, because just looking at the little screen in the back, it's not as useful as it could be. When you see it in large format, your client becomes a collaborator, and you really get to see details and change things on the fly, so that when they do receive the images, they know what they're going to get and they are so happy. So this is a great tool that I use for a lot of my brand sessions when I'm working one-on-one with a founder or a small team. I always bring this along with me. And if I'm working a longer type shoot, like at a university when I'm covering multiple hours and I'm using the 7200, that can be heavy. So I've been using the black rapid strap. This is the second generation. I used the other one forever from the beginning, but black rapid has this great strap that you can hang your camera to your side, and it just helps your arm over time. When you're carrying this gear, your forearm really takes a toll and your shoulder really takes a toll. So having something like this on those longer shoots really helps. Then I want to talk about bags. If I'm just using, if I have a small shoot, like if I need to be mobile for that university campus lifestyle client I was talking about before, and I can only bring a camera, 2 lenses, and I'd probably bring my speed light because I never know what lighting situation I'm going to be in. This would be my kit, and I need to be mobile. So I have been using, this is also Peak Design. This is their 20 liter, and this is their camera bag, put it this way. This has been working out great, so I can hold my miscellaneous bag as well. Miscellaneous bag, my 2 lenses, my body, and then on the back, there's a section here for like a small laptop, but my iPad can slide right in, so that typically I'm working with the creative director on those types of shoots, so they get to see the images coming through, they can star them, then when I go to edit, I already know the selection of images. It makes life so much easier. So when I really need a mobile, slim down gear kit, this is what I'm doing. The next step up, this is when I am traveling to a maker's workshop or an artist or designer studio. We're going to be at that one location, that designated spot for the entire shoot. Mine typically take either an hour to 2 hours, depending on which package. That's when I upgrade to a bigger bag. This is the Pelican 1510, and this can hold the body, the lenses, and my flashpoint system. So then all I need to bring is the modifier and the C-stand, and I can just roll right in and capture the images that we need. When there's a much bigger shoot where I need to bring maybe my 35 as well, I'm bringing this light. I may want to throw this light in just in case, because there may be an element where we have to change a location. I will then also go to my Pelican, but this is the larger one. This is the 1560. I've had these cases since the beginning, so the investment is worthwhile. If I am bringing that big case plus a C-stand and my modifier, and the location is accessible where I could roll something in, whether they have an elevator or like my distance from my car to where we're shooting, there's a bit of a distance. The best piece of equipment that I have that saves me so much time and wear and tear on my body is my multi-cart. It's the R12 by Rock and Roller. This has been an amazing piece of equipment for my overall kit. That's when we're doing much, much bigger shoots. And this is all to say that based on what you're shooting, based on your clientele, based on where you're going, you want to be intentional with your gear kit. So if I need to be mobile, I know where I'm going in terms of gear. When I know there's going to be heavy portraits in some process, well, then I know I need to bring my flashpoint system so we can get those amazing portraits. We're going to need a light stand, we're going to need the modifier, and then I pair my equipment accordingly. And if you're starting out, or if you're thinking about brand photography, think of who you're going to be working with, because that can really help dictate what gear that you might need. I know In the world of photography, there is so much gear, so many possibilities, and you really want to make decisions based off what you're going to be shooting. And if you're in the beginning and you really don't know what you are going to niche down to, let's say, you can't go wrong with the 7200 or the 2470. And if you don't use Canon, there's going to be a comparable, whether you're Nikon or Sony or Fuji, for your business. The iPad has been great because this is all about customer service, customer experience, and being able to see large format is great. So lighting can be great. I know in the beginning people like to just lean to natural light, which is fine, and then build up to strobe lights or speed lights, and there's a lot of possibilities. Again, who are you going to be working with is a driving factor of gear selection. Okay, so I wanted to leave you with this video of a behind the scenes brand shoot so you can see the products in action. I will leave everything down below, so if you're researching, you can look at the list and get a gauge of all the different things that I'm working with. One last big point. When you are out as a creative and working with creatives, we need to be thinking about capturing content for ourselves too. And I have always just set up a small tripod. This is a Joby clip on top. This is a Manfrotto little stand, but there's so many options. And I will set up my phone and I will do set this off to the side, and I will just do a time lapse. Every couple of minutes I'll come by, turn the time lapse on and off. And now you have behind the scenes content for yourself and to promote your own business. Recently, in the past year, I've gone to a 360. Now this is the X4. The X5 is now out. The big bonus there is that you can replace the lenses, because as soon as these get scratched, you're kind of done. So I have been using the 360 on top of my camera just to get a unique view of when I am capturing photos, because if I'm out there solo with myself, I need to get content too for what I'm doing in my brand. So of course, selfie sticks are here to facilitate that 360. All right, so check out this video. I'll see you over there so you can see all of this in action. I'll see you there.